Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be Finding True Love, the Myth of the One. Have you or someone you know ever been fixated on finding the one true love who's going to solve all of your problems, the be-all, end-all? When you run into her, sparks are going to fly, the sun's going to rise, just all kinds of fireworks are going to go off and ridiculous nonsense like that. Well, here's what I've learned over the years about that. When I was younger and inexperienced, I always thought, hey, I'll meet this one perfect girl, and then that'll solve all my problems, and then the girlfriend, wife thing will all be completely solved. And what I learned over the years is that there's a lot of women out there that you can meet, hook up with, have great sexual chemistry with, have a lot of fun with, than there are women who you can hook up with, have great sex with, and also have a long-term great relationship. And what a lot of guys do, and I talked about this in another article recently, is when they're on the first date, and I used to do this crap too, is as soon as you meet a girl, you get her number and you think, oh, this is it. She's perfect. She's beautiful. She's everything I wanted. And yet you don't know a damn thing about the girl other than maybe her name and a few other things, and the fact that she's got a really nice ass or a big pair of tits or beautiful eyes or whatever it happens to be. Because, hey, let's face it, men are visual creatures. And so what guys do, and what I always used to do, is you get fixated on the woman before you really even get to know her, and then you're thinking about what your kids are going to look like and how you get married and all this kind of nonsense. And when guys first come to me, they don't know what they don't know yet. And until you've dated dozens and dozens of women and gone out on dozens and dozens of dates with women that you find really attractive and that you're really into, and who are also really into you, where the interest is mutual, what's going to happen is you're going to realize that there's a lot of women out there you can go out with and have a great time with, but your core values, your outcomes in life are not necessarily going to be aligned, or it's just not somebody that you're going to want to have a great long-term relationship with. But hey, they may be fun to date for a couple of months or whatever until you each find somebody that is better suited to you or that you like a lot better. And because we have this, until you've had the kind of experiences that I've had where you've dated enough different women, you realize that, let's face it, the purpose of all relationships is you go there to give. Two people either grow together or they grow apart. And you may date a particular woman for 3 or 4 years, and then just, people change, not necessarily who they are, but they become better versions of themselves. And in my experience, I've realized that just sometimes, after 3 or 4 years, you realize that you want different things than they want. And it's hard, but you have to move on. But the big problem with this myth of the one, which men and women both do this, is they get fixated on one particular person, and maybe they're in a relationship with somebody else, or maybe they're really not that interested in you to begin with, and so they carry this torch around for months and months at a time, or in years in some cases. And if you've been reading my stuff for a while, you know that I used to do that a lot when I was younger. I'd become friends with girls that I had a lot of interest in, because, hey, I figure I'll become friends first, she'll get to know me, and then she'll fall for me. But in my mind, there was this myth that once I got this girl, this would solve all my problems. And when you look at relationships that way, you're basically coming to the relationship with the glass kind of half full. In other words, saying, well, if I get this perfect girl, then my life will be perfect. Then I'll have everything. Years ago, if you read my book, you understand that I once thought, once I get the perfect girl, then I'll be happy. Well, then I got the perfect girl for me, and then I realized that I still wasn't happy. And so if you're single, if you're not at the place right now where you're single, where you can go out and have an absolute fucking blast by yourself, going to a nightclub or going to a social event or going to the movies by yourself or going to the park by yourself or going to the mall by yourself? I mean, do you always feel like you got to have a friend with you or a wingman or a wingwoman with you? I mean, I like going out by myself. I like going and hanging out in new places because I don't have to worry about the friend that's not on the same level as me. And, plus at my age, a lot of my friends are married. They've got kids. They're in steady long-term relationships. And so they're not going to want to go out and we just don't have those same kinds of desires or outcomes as far as just going out and having a good time. And so I've got an email here from a guy that, he's doing exactly what I used to. He basically just got rejected by his girlfriend. And what happens when you have a breakup or you get rejected? You start thinking about people you dated in the past or maybe hooked up in the past. And it's interesting because you look back on your past with kind of rose-colored glasses. And what this guy's really doing is he's really just hurt and he's on the rebound. And so I'm going to read his email to you. He says, "Hey Corey, all of the information on your site is very compelling and motivates me to pursue the same career path. I just recently broke up with my girlfriend of 3 years. After reading your book, I got in the way of her unpredictability. I couldn't keep my cool. And when she didn't feel like seeing me for a week here or there, I would want the weekend to herself." So I guess basically he come unglued, act needy, because he's looking for her to be the source of his happiness. Because the whole purpose of all relationships is you go there to give. You go there to help each other grow and become more. Like I said, two people either grow together or they grow apart. I always thought to myself that her interest must be somewhere else and not focused on me. I would constantly question where her head was at. She would love me to death one month and isolate herself from me the next. Well, the reason that's happening is when she's coming on and she's chasing you and everything's great, is because you're doing more things right than you're doing wrong. And when she becomes cold and distant, it's because you're doing things that are turning her off and lowering her interest level, and she just simply doesn't want to see you or spend time with you. I used to do the same thing, so don't feel bad. We had to end it because I gave a hypothetical question and asked her, if I would ask you to marry me tomorrow, what would your answer be? And he says, I knew her answer would be no, but I asked her anyways. And of course she said no. Well, here's the deal. When it comes to relationships, being exclusive, or marriage, those are subjects for the woman to bring up. And the bottom line is, if she's not bringing those subjects up, then that means that she's not feeling it yet. She doesn't feel emotionally that she wants to get married or that she wants to be exclusive. And men that understand women know this. So they know that there's no reason to bring these things up. So they just keep going out and dating and creating the next opportunity, fun-filled romantic opportunity for sex to happen, which is a date. And when she gets to that place and you've done enough things right and she falls for you and her interest level is over 90% and she's in love with you, that's when she's going to feel safe and comfortable and like you're going to be the guy for her. So she told me that she didn't know she was in love with me anymore and didn't want to continue dating. Neither did I. I would love to know what I could have done differently and if the relationship was salvageable. Well, I mean, what's done is done. What happened, happened, and it couldn't have happened any other way. It was supposed to happen that way. And you should, instead of being upset or mad that it's ended, just be glad that it happened and you had the experience and you found my work, and now you can read my book and start applying these things and dating a lot of different women so you can get experience with different women, different personality types, so you can really discover what is most important to you. And when you become fixated on just one woman, you don't know what you don't know. So now I'm single and I already have my eye on a girl I have a long history with. It somehow was always the wrong time to get together. She would want me, and I was in a relationship. I'd be single, and she'd be in a relationship. Listen to this, though. He says, we were both single at one time and hooked up in her car one night years ago. We continued talking, but never really started dating, only hanging out a few times. I met my ex-girlfriend at a lounge one night, and this girl was actually there and witnessed me getting together with my ex. I later found out that she was jealous of it when I ran into her a few months afterwards. Well, here's the obvious question. If things were so spectacular with this girl, because he basically says that, oh, I have all this chemistry and blah, blah, blah. I mean, basically what you're doing, dude, is you're bullshitting yourself. Because, in 2 sentences, you're saying you have all this great connection. It was wonderful. It's magnificent. And then the next you're like, yeah, we hooked up and we had sex in our car, basically. Well, if things were so great and you were such a great match for each other, then you would have stayed together at the time. And so what's obviously going on is you're hurt over the breakup and you're basically a dude that's on the rebound. I truly believe this girl is it. We would talk on the phone for hours, every single topic you can think of. We connect on every level where everything just flows naturally, but yet you haven't seen her in years. I'm thinking of either texting her to find out if she still has the same number and mention her full name, blah, 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 blah. Here's the deal. Like I said, if things were so great with this girl and she was such a great match, then it would have happened several years ago. And you can't move forward in your life by trying to be stuck in the past with some girl that you had a couple flings with. The best thing that you can do is get to the place where you can have an outrageously ridiculous time going out. I mean, I love going out when I'm single, whether it's going to a nightclub or just a casual bar kind of place or a social event. And just hanging out and talking. I don't have to have a friend there that, like, if he gets hung up on one girl and I want to move to somewhere else, it's just I hang out and I stick around as long as I want to, and I move on. I mean, that to me is the place that you need to be. You need to get to that place where you love being single. You love being on your own. You love having a good time. You can go to a movie by yourself. You can go out or go to a social function, or go to the mall by yourself and meet and interact with different women. And the other thing is, you got to read my book 10 to 15 times to get to know the information to the point so well you could literally give a seminar in it. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to consistently do the right things with the women that you really want. And so you read my book and you start applying it and start dating a lot of different women and find out what's really the most important to you. And forget about dating, relationships, commitments, or any of that crap. Just go out and try to be the best man that you can be. Try to become a better date. Focus on the stuff that I talk about so you can develop these skills, because once you start practicing these skills and applying them, you're going to realize that there's a lot of women out there that you could hook up with, just like this one who you're thinking is the one. There's dozens and dozens of those girls that are out there every night of the week out somewhere at some social function that you could be meeting and interacting with and maybe hooking up with. But at the end of the day, they're not all going to be perfect candidates for great long-term relationships. And so you're hung up on this myth of the one. And so like I said, the best thing to do, practice this stuff. Practice your skills, because when you get to the point where you think you're ready, that's usually when the next great love of your life tends to show up. And you got to know this material inside and out, because I guarantee you she'll be 100 times hotter than anybody you've ever been with. She'll be 100 times more charming, and you'll have 100 times more chemistry with her. But if you don't know this stuff, you're going to totally fuck it up and blow it. That's what I used to do. I get 1, 2, maybe 3 dates, and then that would be it. I would blow it. And so by learning this material and learning to apply it in a way that's healthy and that can help you find what's most important to you, then you're going to get to that place where you're going to feel like your cup kind of runneth over, so to speak. Because if you come to a relationship with an empty cup hoping that this other person is going to complete you, instead of learning to share your completeness, you're going to end up being a very unhappy guy. That's something to think about.